Welcome to the Bobby Buck Show, where we interview the up-and-coming artists, entrepreneurs, and movers and shakers. And my first guest today is Mr. Mark Anthony Tierno. So, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. You feel me? Well, let's go ahead and get this interview started. I'm gonna ask you, give us a little bit about your background. Give us a little something.
Well, I got a master's in physics. I spent most of my life, adult life, taking care of my parents. My dad had Parkinson's disease. And after that, it got really bad. But in the meantime in there, I found I had an ability and a love for writing. And that also kept the house moving. You know, as depressing as something like Parkinson's can be on a household,
right.
My parents were looking over at me and seeing I'm just typing like crazy and writing all this stuff, and that brought the mood up.
Okay, so it's probably like wondering, what is he doing?
That's what my parents were doing. They spent like half my life trying to figure out where I was going to go, and I kept upping the ante until they're going, okay, our son's going to be an author. And they see me spitting out stuff like this, you know, book after book after, and they're going, okay, he's going to be an author.
All right, would you do us a favor and tell us something about your book?
Well, Maldene, that's the name of the world, and it starts off looking like your more or less standard epic fantasy, if you can call epic standard.
Yeah, I feel you.
But it's a story unlike anything else out there. It starts off, like I said, with your wizards and your dragons and everything else, and just the first book alone is about equal in size and scope to the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. After that, I start blending in some science fiction elements, and the story gets bigger and bigger until it's spanning worlds, it's spanning different dimensions, it's spanning thousands of years in time. The whole thing is 13 novels, 5.3 million words, and about 250 characters.
Ooh, man, you do all this sober?
Yeah.
Hey, take notes from this. So, you got 250 characters.
Yeah, they don't all appear at once, but
right,
you know,
right.
the first book has maybe about a good dozen major characters, and then some minor characters you don't know yet are major characters, because each character starts to develop in its own way and come into its own. So you never know. It's like, why is this one character here, this little scene here in the beginning of the book? He shows up later. You know, he comes back.
So you keep on piquing the interest. You know, each book they read, they say, wait, that came back from this last book or the first book.
I plan way ahead of time.
Okay.
I've had plot elements or I've put in there, and I've had a friend read them, why is that in there? He found out 5 books later. I'll plan like that far in advance on what's going on the whole plot when I write it.
Man, I tell you what, you be doing some excellent work. I'm going to ask you, so what makes Maldene any different than any other story out there?
Oh, any number of things. One, it's a complete world. I got the world map, I got my own dictionary and the alphabet and everything else. Well, I have enough background details here, so it seems like a complete world. So that the reader can go in there and it'll seem as real as Earth, as real as every day, but all these fantastic things are happening. So that helps the reader to buy into and accept the whole story, what's going on, because it feels real. And I've had people lose themselves in it for like entire weekends, just gone, and he's going, I read your book, I didn't sleep.
So you kind of messing up people's sleep schedules because they're so into your book.
I've done that a couple times. I had one friend, first time he read it, and he went, okay, I finished it. I didn't sleep the entire weekend. It's great, but I need my sleep.
Okay, there's one question I know everybody wants to know is, how did you come up with the word Maldene?
Well, for the most part, that's straight out of my head. I just began toying around with syllables and stuff in my head. But there is one little thing about the name Maldene.
What's that?
Well, first, I mentioned I have like a dictionary, and the native language is all phonetic. So there's no such thing as a silent letter. So why is the last letter on Maldene silent? That's one of the more significant plot points later on in the series. That little spelling there, that's a clue.
So what does Maldene mean? Is that like you say you got your own dictionary, so define Maldene.
You're gonna have to start reading the books.
He's good. All right, well, tell us a little bit about your main character.
The big bad guy, the ultimate villain, is named Myro.
Myro.
He's a villain, wizard, no one's really sure, but he's been around for as long as what they know of as recorded history. And he's powerful enough and crafty enough to take over the world, and obviously he does. He wants that. But why hasn't he? It's been thousands of years, and yet he hasn't taken over the world. So what is his real objective, and what's stopping him? What other game is being played out there between Myro and some other unknown force that everybody in the world is getting caught in the middle of? What's his real goal if he doesn't just want the planet?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. One of my favorite parts is when they talk about you got 3 moons and things like that. I think people out there want to understand about 3 moons.
Yeah, Maldene is a world that has 3 moons. They're each in progressively larger sizes. And the odd thing about this is the way they're spaced. No matter where you are in the world, you see one and only one moon. When one moon goes down, it comes up. Now, one would think this can't be an actual occurrence. You can take your guesses, but it's in the story someplace. But it is one of the major plot points as to what's with the moons.
Okay, well, yeah, I gotta check that out. So, what about any love stories? You know what I'm saying? You know, people are interested in love stories.
In that, the story is basically life. That's going to creep in there from time to time. On the first book, second volume, there's a certain female elf that does appear for one of our main characters.
Female elf.
Yeah, her name is Dwayne Gale. And eventually all the main characters, sooner or later, do find someone. We have Sabu, our wizard, Sindar, a psychic, and there is sort of a girl for each one of them out there, and none of them are your helpless, please, I need somebody to complete me, I'm a weak female.
Okay.
Because I find that boring to write.
Okay.
Some of them can't actually take on their husbands to be.
Okay, so they tough.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a tough planet, so you gotta have some tough characters.
Yeah, all right, cool. Let's get into the part when everybody's love to talk about the snake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a certain dance scene. There's a chapter when the characters are in a place called Harbor of the World, which picture a harbor the size of the Gulf of Mexico.
All right.
And one character, Eldar, he's a fun-loving elf, and he's taking his friend Lindo, going, you gotta see this place, this is wonderful. And he's paying like a small fortune for the front seats of the stage, and why? And that's because of the show. In, I believe, Greek mythology, there's a creature called a Lamia.
All right.
It's like snake from the waist on down, and naked human female from the waist on up. And I decided that would make a great exotic dancer. And
a lot of tips.
That's one of my, I call it a throwaway scene, because I go, this is neat, I'll write it up and then move on to the next thing. But everyone's really, catching on to the snake lady. It's a very erotic dance scene with lights playing off of her and everything, and moving back and forth.
So who or what is your inspiration that keeps you going?
A lot of the inspiration is the sheer enthusiasm I get for doing the story. So I have this entire world in my head. I see it, this panorama going through my mind's eye, just like as real as you and me.
Right.
And I see all these exciting sequences and stuff. I gotta get this down. It's like being demonically possessed or something. And the more I write, the more I want to write. And of course, being supportive in that with my mom. She saw a third of the book from 4 feet away, because I'd be typing along, and it's like my computer in my bed, and she'd be on the other side of my bed going, and I'd have to stop. It's like there's somebody over my. I can't work when you're there, and she'd go, smile and go away. So she saw about a good third of the book from like about 4 feet away over my shoulder.
So she's piggybacking with you.
Yeah, and she was enjoying it, as much, as anything else. But yeah, the enthusiasm, it just keeps me going. I got to get this down. And I type faster and faster and faster and more and more of it. Yeah, it's just I get enthused by my own creation.
So even right now, just you inspire yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick a lot of stuff. I'll see a movie or see something and get an idea for that. But it has to come down. It probably goes to a lot of authors too. If you're going to get inspiration, you have to have something inside of you just boiling forth and ready to erupt out of you.
Right. Okay, I feel you on that. So like when you just go out and about, or do you just watch TV, or do you just think with inside your own mind?
Yes to all of the above.
Do them all at the same time?
Yeah, I've bicycled around town on in between chapters thinking up an idea, and I might see something, and one thing will lead to another inside my head. Next thing you know, I'm going home and scribbling down some notes.
Right. Okay, I feel you on that. It's good work, man. Right now, so now we're at the end of the show, and everybody wants to know this. I know I do. Well, I already do, but they need to find out because I already did it. So, but where do our viewers and listeners go to buy your book?
Well, the easiest way, you can go just toss a .com after this, Maldene.com. That's linked to. There's an ordering page. I got my Facebook and fan page. You can also get it on Amazon, of course. But if in doubt, I have everything linked through Maldene.com.
Y'all hear that? Maldene.com. So we come to the end of our show, and we're gonna let y'all know if you ever want to be a part of what we do, go to bobbybuck.com. We include